You guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, you need to. It's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to Mimesis, the podcast about all the twisted ways that art and life imitate each other. I'm Stacey Rourke.
And I'm Sandra Sheriff-Zackerly.
And we're your hosts on this zany adventure. And one of us is going this adventure solo right now.
Solo.
Solo.
This whole week.
Oh, and it's not ending anytime soon, is it?
No, it's not. It's not.
Tell the nice people your
My
sorrows.
husband has to travel for work for 5 weeks.
Ugh.
He gets to come home on Fridays, but then he has to leave again Sunday morning.
So you have weekends with him right now?
I'll have like roughly 36 hours.
Oh, man. That's a lot because you have a young child, you have
Yes.
a preteen, and
Yes.
that's you handling literally everything.
After school programs that they have going on, handling the dogs, cooking all the food.
Handling
Tonight,
all the
I was
household
like-
stuff.
Yeah, and it's snowing, so I'm gonna have to go out and shovel.
Ugh,
Yeah,
gross.
Yep.
I heard it's supposed to get like really stupid cold up there.
it's been really stupid cold, but yeah, it's supposed to get worse.
Like, how cold are we talking?
Well, right now we have a wind chill advisory. We're getting less than 1 inch right now, and the wind chill is like gonna make it feel like it's 6. Right now it's 23.
Ugh. Ugh.
Like,
When I came up there for grandma's surgery, it got to -4, and that's
yeah, tomorrow it's 9. Where Scott is right now, it's in the negatives. I think he said the other morning it was like -6.
ugh.
Yeah.
That's when you walk outside and the air just stings your
It
face.
hurts. Yeah. Yeah. The
Ugh.
wind chill is going to be 15 degrees below 0.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So it's refill going to feel like worse than what it is.
It was 82 here today.
Yeah. I don't like you.
I worked outside part of the day.
Nice.
And then it got a little warm. So I had to move inside. I was like, oh, I'm getting a little toasty, a little sweaty. I should probably go outside.
We're not the same.
No. The look on your face is you need to go fuck yourself.
Uh-huh. I love you.
I love you.
I would like
Shut
some
up.
warmth right now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, my heart is with you as you go through these days alone because that's got to be so stressful.
It is.
Like I can remember when my kids were little, Jay leaving for like he'd go for a work thing, but it'd only be for like a week to 10 days tops. But 5 weeks,
5 weeks. Yeah.
that's a long time.
It is. It really is.
How often does he have to do this?
Once a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's always during the worst part of the winter.
Yeah.
And he has to go up to the even more worst part of winter to test out the cars in the snow.
Why in the snow? To see how they
make sure
handle?
that to make sure that they handle properly, that the systems are responding.
Now, does he test them the way you do? That you see if it's slippery by just randomly slamming on the brakes? Or...
Yes, he has to.
Okay.
Because he wants the system to engage.
Okay.
Yes, but he's worse. He'll stomp on it and turn the wheel at the same time.
But he's got safety precautions in place if things go sideways on him.
Yeah.
You
they're
don't.
on a track. They're on a track, going around in circles all day.
Yeah, we did not have a track, and you just scared the hell out of me for no reason. That was fun.
Yeah.
So what else do we have going on?
Well, we've got the podcast network.
It's growing and it's growing and it's growing.
I'm so excited about all the shows.
Oh my, we have some great content that's coming for people.
Yeah, we do.
Let's see, what do we have? We've got a self-help show that's coming.
Yes.
We've got one on financial tips.
I'm excited about that one.
Yes. We've got book, movie, TV reviews.
Yes.
We've got one that is crystals and Reiki and oh yeah, the Christy Cook is putting that one together, and there's going to be a lot there. She's fantastic, and I may have really reached out to her and told her that she needed to do a show. So I coerced her into doing it, but she agreed. So we got that, and then Rue Wally was here last week, and we talked about our show. So I've been researching for that episode.
Bit-a-boo with Stacey and Rue.
This one is going to be very paranormal, lots of ghosties.
I'm excited.
I can't say what it is because Rue doesn't want to know my topic ahead of time. She wants to be completely surprised by it.
Okay.
So I can't say what it's going to be, but it's going to be good.
Okay, tell me later.
I will tell you later. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got a self-help one. I think I already said that. We have one that Jen Payne is doing that involves starting or basically reclaiming your life when your kids are grown.
Yes.
To where you're able to pursue what you want again, and getting over your own fears and being able to put yourself first again.
Yes. I love that.
Yes.
Because I got in that slump of putting my kids completely first.
Yes.
And now I need to do some me time. I still need to raise them. I still need to do my responsibilities, but I need to put me first sometimes too.
Oh, absolutely. For your own mental and physical health, to just be like, you know what? It's okay for them to have a little bit of screen time.
Yeah.
Mama needs some me time. Yep. That's okay.
Yes.
So that one is going to be fun. I'm going to do some episodes with Jen. She's looking for ghost hosts.
Hey, I like that. A ghost.
Maybe she is. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. I know we're talking about shows, but you know how that whole A Ghost thing started at your house over Christmas break?
Well, it actually started on Friends, but we carried it over into everything we were playing there. Yes.
Well, Evan randomly walked in the room and he goes, "A ghost."
I love that. That's every game we played. Any answer, if you were hung up on it, the answer just became a ghost.
Yep.
Cute. What were we talking about? Our podcast shows. Yes. So we're going to have the one, Jen's is called Life Unpaused. Unpaused Life.
Unpaused Life.
Unpaused Life. We're going to have that one. We've got some great content coming for people.
Yeah. Yes. I'm excited to deep dive and get some podcasting hours in.
I know. It's going to be awesome. It's funny that it started with just, you and I, hey, you want to start a podcast? And a year later, hey, you want to start a podcast network?
Yeah. Not even a year later.
No, not even. Because March will be a year, right? May.
April.
June. We're just randomly screaming out.
Well, April, when we really went and started getting a recording, when I was down with you when you had your surgery, it'd been April, and our first episode launched the 1st of May.
My surgery, which I'm still having complications from. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid surgeon.
Exactly. So we got all that going on. Good things coming, big things happening.
Yes.
I just finished my latest book. It's
Yes, you
in
did.
the editing process now. I tried out Paranormal Mystery for the first time ever. You got to read it.
I did get to read it. I'm like, can I say I
Go
got to
ahead,
read
go
it?
ahead, go ahead.
It's so good.
Thank
This
you.
is by far, like, I say every book is my favorite. I really do. But this one is my absolute favorite book.
Thank you. I put so much into this one. This one was
I loved it from start to finish. I mean, you can ask Emma, like, I didn't put it down. I had it like going in 3 different spots. Like, I had it on my computer, I had it on my phone.
everywhere you walked, you just had a different screen going.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick read too. It's called Fate Worse Than Death for anybody that's interested in it.
It was good.
It's book 2 in my Octavia Hollows series. Book 1 is a collection of 6 novellas, and then this one is a full-length book. But I had a lot of fun with this, and I'm glad. I've had some advanced reviewers that have cursed my name at the ending. Yeah. Yeah.
I texted you and it was like, I love you, but you're a bitch.
Yep.
I'm telling you, man.
That ending. Whew.
They can't see the look I'm giving you right now. I'm mad about that.
I know. It'll all be okay. I promise. I have somebody that one of my advanced readers that she got the copy today, and she's like, I'm seeing all these posts. Nothing better happened to Bacon, Octavia's pig. And I was like, I can tell you with absolute certainty, nothing will happen to Bacon. Bacon will be fine. I'm not saying I won't make you cry in other ways, but Bacon will be fine.
Right. And that's why you're a bitch. You're mean.
I'm a bitch. It's okay.
So did you cry when you wrote this?
You know what? When I wrote the first draft, I didn't, because then it was just getting the bones of the story down.
Mm-hmm.
When I went through, because I always do self-edits and rewrites, I do a round of that. And when I did that, it was very emotional. And the ending part, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but to you, you know the part that happens like after the truck.
Yeah.
There's a scene that takes place in the woods.
Yes.
And that part was very, very hard. Like that, my heart was in my throat the entire time. Like, I knew this character, I knew what was coming, but I was terrified for them.
Oh yeah. I was too. Trust me.
Yeah. But so that's coming soon. I'm hoping to release it March 13th. So
March 13th? Is that a Friday the 13th?
It's not. I think it's a Tuesday, which is fitting because I was born on Tuesday the 13th of September. Yes. So although if anyone asks, I like to say I was born on Friday the 13th.
Hey, they don't know unless you really go back and look.
And then they're just being a weirdo.
Right.
Okay, so I think we got all the news and updates out of the way. Did we?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Did I like get lost there for a second?
You just kind of faded off into
I faded off. I'm a ghost.
I'm a ghost. You went to Sandyland for a second.
I did. Oh, Sandyland. I haven't been there in a while.
You used to go there often.
I was in Depression Land for a long time.
Yeah. It's not as much fun as Sandyland, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's not.
So today we are going to talk about something that I'm really, really shocked we have not talked about on this podcast as of yet.
Yeah. Well, I was really shocked that when we wrote our whole business plan and we wrote down what topics that we could talk about, that was one of the ones that I wrote and you were like, this is mine.
And I never did it.
And you never did it.
Well, we're going to do it today.
Yay.
We're going to do it today. We are going to talk about the movie Titanic versus the actual Titanic.
Yes. I love this movie so much.
Girl. Okay. How old were you when Titanic came out? You were probably 12.
11, 12 around there.
Yes. I was old enough that because I never rented like an apartment or anything. I bought a small house. That
Yeah.
was my first outing of my parents. I was doing nails. I bought a tiny house.
And it was so cute.
It was a cute little thing. But I was old enough to own my own home. And yet I decorated the entire damn thing with all Titanic stuff.
You did.
My entire house was decorated in Titanic. I was obsessed. I must have gone to the movie theater to see it in the theater probably like half a dozen times.
I think I saw it twice in theaters. I think I was with you and my mom once, and then I went with my friend and her dad, and he like covered our eyes on the one part.
Yeah.
Like he sat in the middle and covered our eyes, and I was like, I've already watched the movie. I already know what happens.
Look, it's boobies. I can see the boobies.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a fantastic, fantastic movie. And you remember when it came out on video?
VHS.
It was two
The two,
videos.
yeah.
You had to take one out and put
Yep.
the other one in.
Yep. And I would hate when I would put it in and I forgot to rewind it.
Oh, I'd be so pissed at myself.
Be kind, rewind.
Oh my God, I was just going to say that. Be kind, rewind.
I'm still old enough that I know that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
I remember going to get VHSs at the Blockbuster.
Yeah.
or
And
the
be
Family
behind the
Video.
case.
Yep.
If it wasn't behind the case, you had to go up front, ask them if they have an extra copy somewhere.
Yeah. I hated that.
That
I
was
hated that. My friend and I would walk from her dad's house, the same man that covered both of our eyes. We used to walk down to the Family Video in Flushing from her dad's house. And
Ooh.
like,
that's a
Yeah.
hike.
yeah.
That's a hike.
Uh-huh. Because we're like, we're going to rent movies.
Because that's what we did back then. Friday
Yeah.
night, what are we doing? We're renting a
Yep.
movie. To watch a video, we had to leave the house and go to another establishment so that we
And
could come
get
back
said
home and
movie.
watch TV.
Yeah. And then when Netflix first came, like you could get it delivered, the DVD
Yes, it was the
delivered to
3D.
you.
Yes.
That was
I
awesome.
remember that. And you could put
Yeah.
things on your wish list.
Yeah.
And
And they would come once you sent one back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep.
We're old. We're cute. Okay, so let's talk about Titanic.
Okay.
So in 1997 is when the movie Titanic sailed into the hearts of moviegoers everywhere. It became
97?
97.
Oh. 97. I was only 9.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, you should not have been seeing the booby pictures. No wonder he was covering your eyes. No wonder. I'm suddenly on his side. The cinematic achievements that this movie made, it's still astounding to this day. It was originally budgeted at $100 million, but the film's cost crept up to where it topped out at about $200 million to make this movie.
Wow.
That's so many millions.
Yeah.
It paid off during award season when the film went on to win 11 Academy Awards.
Wow.
It won for Best Picture, Best Music, Best Directing, Best Visual Effects, Best Cinematography, Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, Best Sound Mixing, Best Original Score, Best Film Score, and Best Sound Editing.
Wow.
That's a lot.
I mean, those costumes were fabulous.
Those costumes were amazing. I wanted Rose's entire wardrobe.
Yes.
It was the highest grossing film ever until James Cameron surpassed himself with Avatar
Yes.
and later Marvel's Avengers Endgame.
Well, now Avatar 2 has outpassed all of those.
That's right. James just keeps topping himself.
Yep.
So today we're going to be comparing the true story to what was shown in the movie.
Right.
We're going to
There was
start.
no Rose.
Yeah, no, we're going to start with Jack and Rose. They were not real. I
No.
did, when this movie came out, I did have people. Okay, this is back before like my husband and I were married or anything, when we were like on again, off again. I met a guy at a bar who was like, "You could be the Jack to my Rose." You know, they were real people. Their love story was real. And the fact that he thought they were real, I'm like, thank you for the drink you bought me. Go
No.
away. You're clearly a moron. Keep walking.
Yeah, I knew that they weren't real. I had
Yeah.
hoped that they were real, but I knew that they weren't.
No. Now, there was no Jack Dawson on the RMS Titanic, but there was, and we actually talked about this in our Jack the Ripper episode, there was a Joseph Dawson that
Yeah.
was on the ship. There was no connection between him and the character. The name is purely coincidence. But Joseph Dawson was born in Dublin in 1880. He was a member of the crew and worked as the trimmer of the ship. He
Okay.
joined the military at 19, after which he moved to Southampton, where he began working on various ships until he worked his way up to the Titanic. He did die when the boat sank.
Yeah.
He's now buried in Halifax, Nova Scotia. He did not hook up with any first-class passenger that he found dangling off the front of the ship.
Yeah.
He did not have steamy sex in the back of someone
man.
else's car. Which, by the way, the car, that also was not shown properly. I understand that they wanted to have that moment of Jack and Rose at the car,
Yeah.
but the cars that were on the ship were boxed up
Yeah.
because you had to use a crane to get them on there.
Right.
And you don't want to just grab the car with the crane. You're going to damage it. So they were boxed up.
Yeah, and then they
were
probably
loaded.
had like chains wrapped around it to
Yes.
lift and drop it in.
So in order to have sex in one of those cars, you're going to need bolt cutters. You're going to need a crowbar. That's really a lot of work to have sex in someone else's car.
Yeah.
There's easier ways, just saying.
There was a plenty of rooms.
Exactly. Just find literally anywhere else.
Right.
Okay, so on to Rose. No one on the ship, had that name, but the writers did base her character on American artist Beatrice Wood.
Okay.
Beatrice had no connection to the Titanic, but it was her life and her fiery spirit that really inspired the writers to use her as their motivation. And I think when you hear a little bit of her background, you're going to see how much like Rose her life really was. She lived to be 105 years old.
Aw.
Much like Rose, she was born into a wealthy blue-blooded family, but always felt like she was different than the rest of them. Despite her parents' opposition, Beatrice moved to New York from New York, to San Francisco, and then to Paris, where she studied acting and art.
Okay.
There, she met Monet himself.
Ugh.
And watched him paint in a garden. Like, what is your life? Are you kidding me right now?
Can I have that life?
Right? She went on to perform with stage greats like Sarah Bernhardt. I don't know who that is, but I'm guessing at that time she was very famous.
Yeah.
When World War II began, she moved back to New York, yet continued performing. She starred in more than 60 roles under the name Mademoiselle Patricie.
I love it.
So cute. During her long life, she had amazing love affairs. And then, later in life, she found her way to a kiln where she created beautiful pottery until her death in 1998.
Well, I love that so much.
So it's Rose. You remember her working on the kiln at the beginning, and she was freaking Rose.
Yeah. Well, that, and after she got off the Titanic, she like had all those pictures.
Yep.
Of like the roller coaster and the plane and like everything. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And this woman was just living life to her absolute fullest, and
that's what you want to do every day.
I'm saying. So I love that. I love that there was a real person that inspired Rose.
Yeah.
So other characters who were fictional were Cal Hockley, which can we talk about Billy Zane in that role for a minute? Sir, you are too fucking hot to be that big of a dickhead.
Yeah.
He was so attractive, but he was such an asshole.
I didn't ever find him attractive because he was such an asshole.
Oh, I was so conflicted. It was like
No,
every
mine
now and
was
then.
like my eye was right on Leo
Yeah,
the whole time.
I get that. It was just like every now and then he'd get like that little like pursed lip like smirk, and I'm sorry, but as a writer, that little half smirk gets to me.
Yeah. Well, see, my thing at that point, at like age, I was looking for a savior.
Okay.
So that's why I clung on to Leonardo.
Check.
Yep.
Rose's mom, Ruth. If Rose wasn't real, Ruth wasn't real.
Right.
Cal's valet, Lovejoy, not a real person. And Jack's friends, Fabrizio and Tommy, all made up. They were just there for the story.
Them too.
They were so sweet. Margaret Brown, of course, was a real person. Went down in history as the unsinkable Molly Brown. As the movie shows, she was not born into a wealthy family, nor did she even marry rich.
Mm-mm.
She and her husband found great wealth when his mining engineering efforts proved to be instrumental in producing a substantial ore seam. I do not know what that means, but it made them rich as fuck. So good for them.
Yeah. I mean, they talked about that in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a real fact
that's all real. Yep.
Okay. I think they said mining something.
It was a product that he helped engineer that helped with the mining process. Okay. So he was basically an engineer that created something really fucking cool.
Those stupid engineers being so smart.
I know. Jerks. And then they have to go away for 5 weeks at a time.
I know.
It's dumb. So while Margaret and her husband separated in 1909, he did give her a cash settlement and a monthly allowance, which made it possible for her to travel and live the life that she was accustomed to. When the ship was sinking, Margaret helped passengers onto lifeboats, and just like in the movie, when boats were launched that were not completely full, she was trying to get them to go back, pick up more people. They refused.
Ugh.
Once they were rescued by the Carpathia, Margaret organized a survivors committee to ensure that the second and third class survivors would receive the necessities that they needed, because they didn't necessarily have the resources. So she made sure that they were getting the care that they needed as well. And it was due to her efforts to help all the survivors out there that she was given the name the Unsinkable Molly Brown.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, she's a badass. We love her.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go through some of the scenes in the movie and compare them to reality. Do you remember in the movie when Bruce Ismay, the president of the White Star Line, urges the captain to go faster, make the morning papers, or all that? Yeah. Numerous surviving passengers did hear Ismay pressuring Captain Edward J. Smith to increase speed. The full speed of the ship was 78 revolutions, but the vessel could go up to 80.
Yeah.
Never had the captain taken her above 75 revolutions. Not all of her boilers had been lit. The captain was kind of playing it cautious, as you should.
As you should.
When the water is full of fucking icebergs.
Right.
But Ismay wanted to hit top speed at least once. He wanted it to hit that number. So he was applying a lot of pressure to the captain. Add to that the fact that Ismay really did jump on one of the lifeboats and survived this whole ordeal. Yeah, all of that was real. He was crucified in the newspapers.
Well, I bet.
Yeah.
As he should have been.
Yeah. A lot of the blame for what happened was put on him.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that guy that, you go through the movie and you're like, he's a dick. He really was. That's 100% accurate. Okay, so do you remember Officer Murdoch?
Yes.
He was the one that was loading the ships. Cal tried to pay him off.
Yeah.
He ended up shooting I'm not sure. I don't remember in the movie, and I know I've seen it a million times. I know he shot at somebody. I don't know if he actually...
Yeah, it was Fabrizio or somebody.
I don't think he actually, killed the person with the shot, but I know he then turned the gun on himself.
Yeah.
Okay. This scene in particular ended up being very controversial. While survivors say they saw an officer commit suicide, there was no one that could confirm that it was Murdoch.
Yeah.
There was nobody witnessed him directly doing it. Murdoch did not take a bribe. All of that was a storyline that Hollywood concocted.
Right.
Because they were trying to show people that Cal's money couldn't save him more than it could save anybody else.
Right.
Well, when the film came out, Murdoch's relatives who were still living were pissed. They didn't like how he was made to look in this movie.
Yeah.
They didn't like how he was represented at all. So film executives flew to Murdoch's hometown, where they issued a public apology and made an $8,500 donation to Murdoch's Memorial Fund.
Well, that's good on them that they actually were proactive and did something.
Yeah. They were like, all right, sorry, we took a little too much.
I guess not proactive, I shouldn't say that, but they actually took action to
Yes. They took an active approach to remedy the situation. Okay, so do you remember Captain Smith walking into the bridge?
Yes. And he went down with
he was standing at the yes. Well, there are witnesses who did see him going into the bridge. There were other witnesses who said they saw him on the deck. A couple people said they saw him in a life jacket in the water. One little boy said he saw the captain put a gun to his head and shoot himself.
Anyway, he went down with the boat.
We know he didn't survive.
Right.
We don't know what happened. Also, his body was never recovered. So we don't have any way of even examining the body and going, oh, well, obviously this is what happened. So that's one of those things that will forever be a Titanic mystery. We don't actually know where he was. We know he didn't make it onto the Carpathia that day.
Yeah. He got eaten by sharks.
Okay, so the movie also shows passengers choosing to stay on board and just go down with the ship.
Yes.
This is actually a thing that happened.
The old couple, the lady with the 2 children.
Yes, and I love that you mentioned the old couple because that's exactly who we're going to talk about here today. This is one of the most beautiful stories. And you say beautiful in a tragic way because it's
tragically beautiful.
Yes. Now, in the movie, it shows the old couple cuddled up on the bed together as the water rises around them. This couple is intended to be Isidore Strauss and Ida Strauss. They were first-class passengers, and Isidore was the co-owner of Macy's department store.
Really?
Yes. They were both offered seats on lifeboat number 8. Isidore refused to get on the lifeboat while there were still women and children on board. He absolutely refused. He was not going to give up his seat, or he was not going to take that seat away from a woman or a child.
Yeah.
Well, when he refused to get on the lifeboat, Ida refused to go without him. Witnesses heard Ida tell her husband, "We've been living together for many years. Where you go, I go."
Aww.
Yes. They did not die cuddled up together in a bed, but they were last seen sitting side by side in a pair of deck chairs.
Aw.
Yeah. How sweet is that? Like that gives me a little misty that they
Yeah.
were like, we're gonna let
Yeah.
these young kids have a chance.
We've had a full life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we know that on April 14th on 1912 at 11:40 p.m., the crew of the Titanic saw the iceberg and alerted the bridge. They may have seen it sooner, but the binoculars that were supposed to be up in the crow's nest had gone missing.
Yeah.
So there's one strike against you right there. The ship didn't have enough time to maneuver around the berg, and it hit the starboard side, puncturing a ton of holes in it below the waterline. At 2:20 a.m., the Titanic sank, immersing many of the passengers and the crew into the freezing water, where most of them, and I want you to remember that, most of them died within 15 to 30 minutes of being in that water.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that, because that's going to come back up later.
Oh, I know. I already know this one.
Now, a few moments from the movie you may remember. We're going to talk about which one's real, which ones aren't.
Right.
But let's list them first. When the giant funnel falls and crushes Fabrizio, remember that scene? Broke free. Okay. There was also the lights of the ocean liner staying on while it sank.
Yeah.
The ship splitting in half. Chunks of ice falling across the deck. You know, all of this. The band playing on all of these things. So, did any or all of these actually happen? Do you have a guess?
I'm going to say some of them, yes.
All of them did. Every single one of those is accurate.
I know that the playing of the music, I know it broke in half. There had to have been some kind of ice that fell on the boat when they hit the iceberg.
Okay, yeah, well, let's start with the ice.
Yeah.
Survivor Churchill Candy was quoted as saying, "The first thing I recall was one of the crew appearing with big pieces of ice in his hands. He said he had gathered it from the bow of the boat. Some of the passengers were inclined to believe he was joking, but soon the situation dawned on us all." They're like, oh, he's funny. Oh, fuck. That's
yeah.
We're going swimming. Okay, so as to the lights, it was Dr. Washington Dodge who watched from a lifeboat and said, "We saw the sinking of the vessel. The lights continued burning all along its starboard side until the moment of its downward plunge."
Wow.
That would be so eerie to see.
Yeah.
As the bridge sunk, the first of those enormous funnels really did fall forward and crash into the water on top of swimmers that were battling beneath it to survive. While Fabrizio wasn't a real person, he wasn't crushed by this thing. It was believed that John Jacob Astor, remember him?
Yeah.
That he was killed by the falling funnel, because when his body was found, it was crushed and covered in soot.
Which, yeah.
It seems pretty fitting with that happening. By the way, do you remember in the movie that it was a big scandal that he was married to a young 19-year-old and she was pregnant, and look how she's trying to hide it? You remember all that?
Yes.
All of it true.
Okay.
Really was true. He did have a child bride and she really was pregnant.
Gross.
Gross. Okay. Now, as to the ship splitting, we know now that it did, but that was something that was debated on for a long time.
Right.
Because some survivors said that they saw it split. Others said it went down intact. There was, just going by eyewitnesses, there was a lot of argument as to what really happened there. But in 1995, when the wreckage was discovered, it was clear to see that it was in two pieces in two different locations.
Right.
So it had to have split. And yes, the band did indeed play as the ship went down. Survivors remembered hearing them play Alexander's Ragtime Band and In the Shadows. However, later newspapers wrongly reported that they played Nearer Nearer My God to Thee.
Right.
And that wasn't the case. Those other two songs were the ones that survivors remembered hearing. Every single member of the band perished, but they played on until the bitter end, until they couldn't play anymore. Which again, it's got to take such a strong, I don't even know. It's just such a strong resolve to say, this is it. I'm not even gonna make a fight for it. I'm just gonna,
like, you have to have that calm, just like, okay, I can't.
I know.
I can't.
I would fight. I would fight. I know.
I think I would fight too.
Yeah. But just to be in that place where you're like, okay,
this is it.
This is it. Oh, that's hard. The movie shows third-class passengers being locked below decks. Remember that?
Yes.
Oh, I fucking hated that. Oh, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so while this was true that some of these gates were locked, the way it's shown isn't really how or why.
Okay.
The gates were locked because the steerage passengers were kind of viewed as unclean. They hadn't passed health inspections, and they were afraid that if they had sicknesses or ailments or anything, that they would pass them to
the upper class.
So that they were locked, and then when they got to the port, then they would go through a health screening, and that would go from there. Yeah. So that's why those were locked. When the boat started to sink, there were some stewards that had the presence of mind to just unlock the fucking gates. Like, just go unlock it. So some of them were unlocked like it showed, some were open. But there were some who, if they didn't hear from their higher up ranking, whoever, they didn't say to them directly, hey, Joe, go unlock the gate. Yeah. They refused to do it. My boss didn't tell me to do it, so I'm not going to do it.
Assholes.
Yeah. And I think about that. I put myself in that position, and I'm going to unlock the gate.
Right.
Like, seriously, let me put it this way. Whatever outcome happens from that moment on, I'm not coming to work on Monday. So I don't fucking care if I get in trouble with my superiors. Either
you don't have a job.
Yeah. Either I'm about to drown in icy water, or I fucking quit. This is my notice. I'm not coming back.
Like, give them the best chance at surviving that you can. Yeah. Don't fucking be a murderer.
Yeah. By not unlocking that gate, you're sentencing those people to death.
Right.
So yeah, I'm gonna unlock it. I'm gonna give them as good a chance as anybody else is gonna have. Okay, where are we? Okay, so what about the heart of the ocean? Do you think the heart of the ocean was real?
No,
it wasn't. Completely fictional. It was inspired by
gorgeous.
It was stunning. I had a little mini version that I got from like Kay's jeweler. It's like the size of a quarter, whatever. But it was inspired by the Hope Diamond that King Louis the 16th gave to, is that right? The 16th? We'll go with that.
What is it? VII?
It's or XVI. So that's 16, right? Yeah. Okay. Gave to Marie Antoinette. Now, while the heart of the ocean did not exist, Celine Dion wore a 170 carat sapphire surrounded by 65 30 carat diamonds when she sang My Heart Will Go On at the 1998 Academy Awards.
Oh my goodness.
160, even the weight of that, and then 30 carat diamonds. That had to be so heavy. That woman is very, very petite. How did she stand up with that thing around her neck?
Like very stiff.
You know those stands that they have for dolls that it's like metal in the back and then it hooks around their waist to keep them upright?
Yes.
She had like a
One of
human
those.
size. She had one of those behind her holding her.
So she didn't fall forward.
Yeah.
From the weight of it.
They were like, Celine, whatever you do, do not lean forward. Because you
Right.
lean forward even a little bit, you're going straight down. Oh, okay. Now this one you probably know because this one was in a lot of the news stories written about the movie at the time. The sketch of Rose wearing the heart of the ocean.
Yes.
Who drew that?
Well, Jack did.
No, I mean in real life, who drew it?
Oh, I don't know.
Really? He did?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this one was kind of everywhere at the time. But you were 9.
I was 10.
Yeah.
9 or
James
10.
Cameron drew that himself.
Oh, really?
That was actually when you see the hand sketching on the piece of paper, that
Okay.
was his hand. And all of the pieces of artwork in Jack's sketchbook, James Cameron drew every single one of those.
Oh, wow. He's talented.
And so he can make movies like Titanic and Avatar, and he can draw, and yeah.
Goodness. And I
He's
can
got some
barely do anything.
I know. I can't back into a parking spot without getting hives up my neck, and he can do all this. Okay. That's just not fair.
Yeah, I was always told that it was Leo that actually drew those.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't Leo. Leo has many talents of his own. That
Not
was not one
drawing.
of them. Yeah. Okay, now the underwater shots of the wreckage, lots of them were real. Lots of them were real. In 1995, James Cameron hired a Russian vessel to take him and members of his crew down in 2 submersibles. It took 12 dives and probably more money than you and I will ever see in our entire lifetimes
Probably.
to get that footage. But the problem was the cameras could only store 500 feet of film, which basically equates to 12 minutes of footage per dive.
Yeah.
As a result, some of the underwater shots had to be faked. You know, they could use what they had, but for some of the more expanded shots, they had to fake it.
Yeah.
Pablo Picasso's paintings, remember at the beginning when Rose is getting her room situated?
Yes.
That part, that fun little bit of humor there wasn't real. Picasso's paintings were never on the boat. That was basically just trying to set the time period of where we were at.
Right.
Yeah, that wasn't real. So how many people were rescued from the water like Rose? Do you have any guesses?
13, 14. It was a small number.
It's a very small number. Only 2 of the 16 lifeboats went back. That they said that in the movie. That was true. Only 6 were saved from the water.
Okay.
The first lifeboat pulled 5 people from the water, but only 3 survived.
Yeah.
The second picked up 4 more people, and 1 of them passed as well. Just like in the movie, they were really hesitant to go back at first because they feared all the panicked people would
tip them over.
in their panic.
Yeah.
Really not a concern because, like I said, 15 to 30 minutes and these people were freezing to death. Now, there is a movie set at Fox's Baja Studios in Rosarita Beach, Mexico, where visitors can see parts of the Titanic set. And now I want to go to Mexico.
Well, I told you there's one right at downtown Disney.
Oh, yes.
At the Planet Hollywood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's like
also
the door or something. You can go and see the door.
There's that, and then there's Titanic exhibits.
Yeah.
All over the place that are. Have you gone to any of those? You've gone to the
No.
Titanic? They're very cool. Highly recommend. I don't know if there was one down here in Orlando. I don't know if it's still here, but
It probably.
it's fantastic, and I highly recommend it if you get a chance. Do it. In the Mexico set, There was a nearly full-scale Titanic replica that was built for the
wow.
movie. Yeah. But it was badly damaged and dismantled during production. You know, if you're
Okay.
sinking a full-size boat replica, like
Yeah.
shit's going to happen to it. So they dismantled it shortly after filming wrap, and that's no longer there. But some of the interior sets still are. You can see Rose's stateroom.
Awesome.
You can see Jack's third class accommodations. You can see the room where Jack was handcuffed to the pipe.
I love that. Okay, that's enough practice.
Yeah.
What?
He's like, I don't care if I'm going to lose a hand here. If I see you practice anymore, I'm just going to freak out and say no. So whatever happens, happens. The outside deck and the Palm Court dining room are all available to see. And they do like tours that the public can go on.
That outside dining room, I always loved. It was so gorgeous.
So pretty. So pretty. And that's, if you go to these Titanic exhibits, they replicate a lot of the rooms.
Yeah.
So you're like in one section where you're looking at artifacts, and then you turn the corner and it's like freaking the grand staircase is right there. Yeah, it's just, there was one, I went through a door and the entire thing was set up to look like you were outside on the deck. It was nighttime. There was like, it made it look like there was water down below.
That's awesome.
I was breathless for a minute because I did not expect it. I was just like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to do that.
You gotta
go with me?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do it. I'll do it again. Let's do it. We should dress up. Let's dress in costume and do it.
Can I wear like one of the Victorian dresses?
We have to. We have to wear Victorian dresses, and yes, we're doing
the
this.
hats.
Mm-hmm. Big hats.
Yes.
Big hats. We're doing this.
Yes.
This is happening. There's going to be pictures. Okay.
Mimesis on the set of Titanic.
Yeah, the Titanic mimesis. I love it. Okay, now we've reached the part where we're going to talk about my favorite fucking story from the Titanic. Jack and Rose who? I don't even care who they are. We're going to talk about my favorite story.
The chef.
But he wasn't a chef. I learned this later. He was a baker. He was a baker.
Difference.
Yes. He's the one that in the movie, he's in a white uniform. Mm-hmm. He's taking pulls off his flask as the ship's sinking. Well, he was based on a real person named Charles Jofflin.
Is that how you say that?
I think so. I hope so. Now, Charles was asleep when the ship hit the iceberg.
Yep.
And then he learned that the ship was sinking. And he handled it as I would. Charles was like, oh, fuck. I'm going to get drunk.
Yep.
And I completely respect that.
Absolutely.
So he started drinking in his room. He went to the pantry, the kitchen pantry. He got some booze out of there. He's drinking more. He went back to his room, poured himself a drink, and sat there and nursed it while his quarters were starting to fill with water. And then he went, I think it's time to go topside.
Yeah.
All the while he's drinking, the whole time, just drinking. He gets up onto the ship level. Now, in the movie, it shows him throwing wooden furniture and whatnot overboard. He actually did do that. He was looking for things that would float, and he was throwing them overboard so he would have something to hold onto while he was in there. And just like in the movie, do you see this? I'm putting my notes aside because I know this guy's story so well that I'm like, I don't even fucking need the paper anymore. Just like in the movie, his goal became stay on the boat as long as you possibly can.
Yep.
And this is all in an inebriated state. He's just like, fuck it, I don't want to get in the water yet, so I'm just going to do whatever I have to. He stayed on the boat as long as he possibly could. Okay, so the other people that went into the water, because they're just pure panic, are splashing around, flailing, their heart rates are going really, really fast. Well, that actually made hypothermia kick in faster because
you're expending that energy.
Yes. Now, Brother Man was so relaxed and feeling no pain whatsoever. He wasn't splashing around. His heart rate wasn't. He was just, paddling over to something to float on, paddle over to something else to float on. While everybody else who went in the water died within 15 to 30 minutes, he was in the water for 2 hours and survived.
The alcohol raised his temperature.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He went in the water like, fuck it, I'm gonna die anyway. I'm just gonna get shit-faced so I don't feel it. And then he went on to live to be 78 years old.
Wow.
So when people asked him, like, how'd you survive the Titanic? Well, I don't remember any of it. I was pretty drunk. So what we've learned about this is if you're on a cruise ship in cold water and there's any kind of problems, just
start boozing it up.
Just start boozing it up. Start doing shots. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Just start drinking.
I mean, aren't most people when they're on cruises drunk anyway?
So true.
Especially a Carnival cruise.
Ooh. Carnival cruises are party ships.
Yeah.
Kayla that does my hair was talking about she wants to do a cruise and she wants to do one with her daughter, and she was asking, what cruise lines, and I told her, I was like, listen, if you're going with your child, maybe not the Carnival, because those people are there to party.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think because when my husband and I were younger, we did a lot of cruises, and we even cruised with his whole family. We would go on family cruises.
Wasn't there like 2 weddings with that one?
Yes. It's funny. His 2 cousins got married on the ship, but not to each other. They were brother and sister. They did not marry each other. They're not that kind of family. They married other people, but on the same cruise. But we would say, Jay's cousins are getting married, and people would be like, I'm sorry, what now?
What? Well, that's like your daughter calling me Cousin Aunt Sandy.
Exactly.
And calling Scott just Uncle Scott. Please don't say that in public.
Exactly. It became Cousin Aunt just because you're so much older than them. So it was,
Yeah.
But what I was going to say about the Carnival cruise, we went on one where there was this woman who was in the elevators, fall down drunk. She was so intoxicated, and her partner was not, and was over her bullshit.
Like, motherfucker, it was my turn to get drunk and you went and drank.
Like, if a person's face can say, if there wasn't an audience, I would throw you over my shoulder like a fucking sack of potatoes and just carry your ass. That was the look on his face.
Was the look.
Yeah. Because he was like, get up. Come on.
Get up. I've been drunk like that once in my life.
Oh, that's rough.
It was bad.
It's rough. Is that the night you had to get your stomach pumped?
I didn't get my stomach pumped.
Yeah, I thought you got your stomach pumped when you were during your Disney internship.
They didn't pump my stomach. They just put a lot of fluids into me.
Okay.
No, I've never had my stomach pumped.
Okay. I had it wrong.
But
you still ended up, you were so intoxicated, you ended up in the emergency room.
Yeah. That was a bad night.
That was a bad night.
There was a lot of bad choices made there.
Decisions were made.
Yeah.
None of them
good ones. And now I see all the red flags, and that was not me.
No. That was a bad
that
time.
was
You were
the
young.
anger.
Yeah.
I was very young. I was only just 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, we're never doing that again.
Yeah. No.
But if I was that drunk going into the water, I would have survived. I'd have been fine.
See? It's just a matter of where.
Yeah. I've never been on a cruise.
Really?
Yeah. I want to.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Not since COVID now.
No. COVID. You remember
COVID ruined it.
There was like a cruise ship, the people were stuck on the
Yeah.
boat for like a month.
Yeah.
3 weeks to a month because they couldn't dock anywhere because there was
Yeah.
like a COVID outbreak on the ship. Ugh.
Yeah. So then they had like a morgue
Yeah.
set up on the ship. No, I'm good. Like the only way I probably would is if it was a Disney cruise, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe now it'd have to be like a small little yacht cruise thing that's
Yeah.
like touring like Europe.
Italy or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. We went on a Disney cruise for our honeymoon and it was glorious. But again, that was a million moons ago before COVID was ever a thing.
Right. I just always I had the chance to be on a Disney cruise for my internship, but I turned it down. I shouldn't have. Hindsight. There was a lot of bad decisions in that area of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully, that chapter is coming to a close real soon.
That's great.
But part of me was very hesitant because I do get motion sick really bad.
Yeah.
And it was a 9-month thing. And I was like,
Oh,
I
God.
don't know if I can do it for 9 months.
No.
If it was 3 to 6 months, maybe I can do it. But knowing how motion sick I get, like, and I'm terrified of boats.
Mhm.
No,
I see that.
Yeah.
I see that. And it's knowing yourself because Jen Payne, she's the podcast host for Unpaused Life, our show coming up. She recently, within the last year, became a flight attendant.
Yeah.
And, she has nothing but great things to say about it. She absolutely loves it. And she's told me about it. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I appreciate it so much what you get to do and the experiences you get to have. But I know I couldn't do it because I get motion sick so easily that no, I can't do it.
No.
No.
And that's why I knew that I would not be able to make it that long.
See, even when I go on a cruise, and this would probably be different now, but 20 years ago when I went on a cruise, it was always day 3 that I would get motion sick. The first 2 days I would be fine. And then it was like day 3 of the constant movement. That was the day that always, and I would be flat on my back in my room, just nauseous as all crap.
Yeah. And see, that's where I was nervous because I'm a chef and that's what I was doing. And being around the food.
Oh,
the smells.
No. No, I don't think
I'm going to barf in somebody's rice.
I'm going to go. I threw up in the rice again. Sorry. Yeah, I don't blame
But I think that's partially why I haven't even went on a cruise. Because I don't handle like small boats well. I know that they don't rock as much as small boats.
But sometimes if it's rocky seas, I mean, I've been on some where you're like stumbling side to side down.
That's that I know.
Yeah. My motion sickness has gotten worse over the years.
Yes.
So I'm not even sure how I would do with it anymore. Like before it was just one day. It might be like the whole freaking time now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, that's where my thing is. I've gotten worse since I've had the kids.
Yeah.
I was starting to get motion sickness in the car now.
Oh, yeah.
And
I do too.
Hate that. Like I used to be able to read while people were driving. Nope. Can't do that anymore.
Man, they just change everything, don't they?
Yeah.
They do.
Little goblins.
But they're cute.
They are.
All right. Well, that is all I have on Titanic for us this time.
That was a fun episode.
Thank you.
I really liked all that.
I like talking about Titanic.
Me too. Now let's watch the movie.
Okay. Let's do that. We don't have to change the disc in the middle.
No. Where is it? Can we stream it now?
I'm sure it's somewhere to be streamed. I still have the DVDs. That's right. When the VHS went away, I bought the DVDs. Because of course I did.
That.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I need to stream it somewhere.
So do you have your topic for next time yet?
No.
Well, I guess it's time to ask the people if they have any ideas or stories that they would like to hear.
Yes, we want to hear from you. Please email us at themimesespodcast@gmail.com or tell us what you want to hear at Facebook and Instagram at the Mimesis Podcast.
And we have TikTok now too.
And we have TikTok, yeah. I should do a little video of that. Like, hey, listeners.
Yeah, you should.
Mamisters, what are we calling them?
I like Mamisters. That's cute.
Mamisters.
Mamisters.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to hear from you. And that's all we have for this time. So it's time to say it. Are you ready? Until next time. Bye.
Bye.